Ukraine's security service said June 3rd it detonated explosives underwater against the road and rail Crimean bridge linking Russia and the annexed Crimean Peninsula, damaging key support pillars. The Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, stated it used 1,100 kilograms, 2,420 pounds, of explosives early Tuesday morning, targeting the bridge's underwater pillars. The 19-kilometer, 12-mile structure is a vital supply route for Russian forces operating in Ukraine. An official Russian outlet reported the bridge was closed for about 3 hours from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. local time, but gave no explanation. It later reopened and resumed normal operation. Previously, we hit the Crimean bridge twice, in 2022 and 2023. So today we continued this tradition underwater, the SBU said, adding the operation had been months in preparation. Video footage released by the SBU showed an explosion near one of the bridge's support pillars. Russian military bloggers claimed the attack was unsuccessful and speculated it was carried out by a Ukrainian sea drone. The Crimean bridge, spanning the Kerch Strait, is the sole direct land link between Russia and Crimea, which Moscow annexed in 2014. It comprises separate road and rail sections, supported by concrete stilts and steel arches, allowing ship passage between the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. The bridge has been strategically important for Russia since its 2022 invasion of Ukraine, used to move troops and equipment into southern Ukraine, including the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions. On Sunday, Ukraine launched an operation called Spider's Web, deploying drones against Russian nuclear-capable long-range bombers at airfields across Russia. Regarding the details of the attack, the released image did not show any significant destructive damage to the bridge's roadway due to the explosion. Some structural elements were deformed and thrown onto the roadway. Nevertheless, the SSU stated that the bridge's structure is now in a critical condition due to the sabotage. In June 2022, the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine obtained the design documentation of the Crimean bridge. This documentation likely served as the basis for the operation of the Ukrainian Security Service. According to the documentation and the agency's description, explosives could have been planted under the bridge supports near the piles that ensure the structure's stability. It is currently unknown how SSU specialists could have planted an explosive device under the supports, but one of the possible versions could involve the use of underwater drones. The Crimean bridge is an extremely difficult target for sabotage operations, as the object belongs to the list of first-category strategic facilities. A powerful defense system has been built around it, which includes layered air defense cover, anti-sabotage measures, and groups monitoring the surface and underwater environment. It is known that air cover is provided by the nearby deployed Pantsir anti-aircraft missile and gun systems, as well as the deployed S-400 Triumph systems. They are supplemented by man-pads stationed at 3 observation and security posts. The maritime component is represented by the Grachanok anti-sabotage boats. In addition, on both sides of the bridge, the Plavnik water area control system is deployed, along with hydroacoustic sensors. The bridge is guarded by the 39th Naval Detachment, Military Unit 6942, and the 115th Special Purpose Brigade, Military Unit 6942 of the Russian National Guard, stationed in the city of Kerch. In addition to them, personnel from the FSB Border Service of Russia and representatives of the local police are deployed at the checkpoints. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine has updated its daily report on Russian losses in the ongoing conflict, increasing the number of destroyed enemy aircraft by 12 units. This update was announced via the General Staff's official social media channels. The aviation loss figures were revised for the first time following the Ukrainian Special Forces Operation Spider's Web, conducted on Russian territory. According to the data, the total number of destroyed Russian aircraft since the beginning of the full-scale invasion has increased to 384 aircraft. The Security Service of Ukraine's Operation Spider's Web aimed to destroy Russian strategic aviation aircraft and involved strikes on the military air bases of Balaya, Ivanovo, Ukrainka, Olenya, and Diaghilevo. On June 1st, Ukrainian FPV kamikaze drones struck Russian strategic aviation at their bases located at the Olenya Air Base in the Murmansk region and the Balaya Air Base in the Irkutsk region. This day was dubbed a new Tsushima for Russian aviation on social media. On the same day, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in his address, shared key details of the operation, including that the operation's office on Russian territory was located near the FSS headquarters. As a result, the president reported the destruction of 34% of the strategic cruise missile carriers at their air bases, primarily Tu-95MS and Tu-22M3 aircraft. The operation, from initial planning to execution, lasted 1 year, 6 months, and 9 days, meaning it began on November 23, 2023. The day after the Ukrainian Special Forces operation, a campaign of mass inspections of trucks started in Russia to check for possible drone transportation. Residents of the Irkutsk region reported multi-kilometer traffic jams caused by police checks of freight trucks. The loss of Tu-95MS and Tu-22M3 aircraft is a significant blow to the capabilities of the Russian aerospace forces, as these models are no longer in production. Furthermore, the reduction in the number of these bombers will create gaps in the air component of Russia's nuclear deterrence and may decrease the frequency of sorties targeting Ukrainian territory. In what appears to be a deliberate escalation, Ukraine has launched 2 high-profile strikes in recent days: a fresh drone attack on the Crimean bridge and a covert air-based sabotage campaign known as Operation Spider's Web, targeting Russian strategic bombers. Analysts suggest the goal may not simply be military advantage, but political leverage, to force Moscow to the negotiating table under pressure. The renewed strike on the Crimean bridge, a critical logistical and symbolic artery connecting the Russian mainland to the occupied peninsula, marks a sharp intensification of Ukraine's long-range campaign. Though the full extent of the damage remains unclear, the message was unmistakable. Nowhere is safe, not even the heart of Russia's annexation project. Ukrainian officials have not officially claimed responsibility, but government-aligned sources say the operation was planned over months, timed to coincide with broader strikes across southern Russia. Meanwhile, a separate campaign, dubbed Operation Spider's Web by Ukrainian sources, has reportedly targeted at least 3 air bases in Russia, used to launch long-range missile attacks against Ukrainian cities. The operation has included drone strikes, internal sabotage, and possible cyber interference. The goal, according to military observers, is to paralyze Russia's strategic airstrike capability without triggering direct Western involvement. The coordinated nature of these actions suggests high-level political intent, not just military expediency. Some Western and Ukrainian analysts believe the twin operations are part of a broader strategy to shift the war from battlefield stalemate to diplomatic resolution. By raising the cost of continued war for Moscow, including bringing the fight to Russian territory, Kyiv may be trying to create conditions under which the Kremlin feels compelled to enter negotiations, possibly under terms more favorable to Ukraine. Yet the question remains: did Ukraine act alone? Despite official statements suggesting surprise, there are growing suspicions that the U.S. administration and the President Trump, who has publicly hinted at brokering a peace deal, were at least partially aware of Ukraine's escalation plans. While official channels have denied foreknowledge, intelligence leaks and the complexity of the operations suggest otherwise. Washington's silence in the aftermath has been particularly notable, with no strong condemnation or distancing, a possible signal of tacit approval. If so, the Biden-Trump transition period may be shaping a new phase of U.S. policy, one that permits more daring Ukrainian strikes as a means to force Russia into truce talks without direct NATO intervention. And while we at the U.S. Navy will dismantle the USS Enterprise, the world's first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, under a contract worth nearly $537 million. According to Defense Mirror, North Star Maritime Dismantlement Services has been awarded a $536,749,731 contract by the U.S. Department of Defense to carry out the work. The project involves full dismantling of the former Enterprise-class carrier and recycling or disposal of all materials. Hazardous materials, including low-level radioactive waste, will be packaged and transported to licensed disposal facilities. The work will be carried out in Mobile, Alabama, and is expected to be completed by November 2029. Commissioned on November 25, 1961, USS Enterprise was the first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier in the world. Built by Newport News Shipbuilding, it featured 8 nuclear reactors, more than any subsequent U.S. carrier, which typically used 2. The vessel measured 1,123 feet, 342.29 meters in length, had a displacement of approximately 95,000 tons, and could carry up to 90 aircraft. Powered by 4 propeller shafts, the ship reached speeds of over 33 knots. Its crew numbered around 4,600. Over its 51 years of service, Enterprise participated in key military operations, including the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, and deployments in the Middle East. It was decommissioned on February 3, 2017, and remains the longest-serving aircraft carrier in U.S. Navy history. Due to its nuclear propulsion, dismantling Enterprise poses unique challenges. The Navy has established a new unit dedicated specifically to the decommissioning of nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. Separately, the Navy has yet to announce a winner in the competition to develop the 6th-generation F/A-XX carrier-based fighter, reportedly due to funding delays. The UK is significantly expanding its role in the AUKUS security partnership, with plans to build up to 12 nuclear-powered submarines, up from the previously announced total of 7. The update was published on the UK government's official website. The expansion is backed by a £15 billion investment tied to the country's nuclear warhead development program. The funding will support major segments of the UK's defence nuclear industry and advance the government's plan for change. The submarine program is expected to directly support 30,000 skilled jobs nationwide by the 2030s, along with the creation of 30,000 apprenticeship slots and 14,000 graduate positions over the next decade. An official announcement is expected on June 3rd, when the Prime Minister is scheduled to confirm the expanded procurement. This step will boost the Royal Navy's long-term capabilities and further strengthen the UK's shipbuilding sector. SSN AUKUS is a next-generation class of nuclear-powered attack submarines being developed under the AUKUS Trilateral Security Agreement between the UK, Australia, and the United States. The submarines are scheduled to enter service with the Royal Navy in the late 2030s and with the Royal Australian Navy in the early 2040s. The class will replace the UK's Astute class and Australia's Collins-class submarines. The UK began developing a successor to the Astute class in 2018 under the Submersible Ship Nuclear Replacement Program. In March 2023, following Australia's entry into the project and the integration of additional US technologies, the program was renamed SSN AUKUS. Australia plans to build 5 SSN AUKUS submarines domestically and purchase 3 Virginia-class submarines from the US. Once operational, British and Australian crews will conduct joint training, patrols, maintenance, and repair operations. The submarines will share components and spare parts sourced from the United States. The vessels will feature pressurized water-cooled nuclear reactors manufactured by Rolls-Royce and are expected to displace more than 10,000 tons.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.